Hey there, everyone. My name is Monkey Trevor from the Guys About Games, here with a half part for Final Fantasy IX. Whoa, ho, ho! Yeah. So the whole you're not alone sequence. I thought about it for a while. And I thought maybe I would, but like as I started pre-playing from disc 3 here onward, it's like just let it be silent. Let it be its own thing. Let you take in the sights because I'm not exactly a a voice actor, a professional. So better to just let it speak for itself. Plus, you get a chance to hear the music. The song that plays here sort of stands out. Well, I mean, it stands out for a couple reasons, but one of the big things is that this is a game that's all about motifs and whatnot. Like every song gets remixed somewhere, pretty much. But this song is kind of an exception to that. This song is it's just the one and done right here. And it's interesting because it wasn't even made specifically for this scene, which is kind of the funny thing. It was just a song that they made. The composer made and was like, this song is really good, I really want to put this somewhere. And so eventually it ended up here. Like they wanted to... In a sense you could say that rather than this song being made for this scene, in a way this scene was almost made for this song. Because it's this big emotional piece that they really wanted to use for something big like this. And so it ended up getting, this scene made. I don't know if it would be, maybe that isn't accurate to say, but that's kind of how it goes. It's also this big, scripted scene. There's not enough praise I can give for this scene. Like, it's so nice to have all this, payoff for, everyone's... for just all the stuff that's happened throughout the game, Because... I don't know if you've noticed throughout this game, but I think... have I even talked about this at all? But... throughout the whole game, Zidane has basically thrown himself at everyone's problems. Like, pretty much every time anyone has any problem... he's like, let me help, whoa, 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 all that jazz, but the instant he has his own problem, he's sitting there going, this has nothing to do with you, and all that jazz. Alright, he just wants nobody's help. And he's telling people to shut up. Do. I always like the detail that you can even see Aiko and Vivi here. Because, they didn't have to be there. But, I mean, I guess to be fair, they do talk here. There's something kids just can't understand. These story sequences, these little story battles are also pretty nice. So... first of all, obvious things to keep in mind about these fights is that every single one of the Pandemonium fights here is completely immune to status effects. You cannot do anything to them. They're also very scripted, so you cannot kill them early at all. They're basically everything you do to them during each phase is a complete waste of time. You can stab this guy with Zidane if you want, but there's not really much of a point. Because it'll attack you once, fly into the air, and then Freya shows up. I also wanted to show off that I gave Freya and a couple of them auto float. Because, as it turns out, during this sequence they actually checked for auto float. Because they were well aware that auto float will change your... oh, that's funny, counterattack. Auto float will obviously changes where you are, so they actually have different camera angles set up here for specifically having auto float. So interestingly enough, him flying into the air scripted will make Freya show up, but him landing does not make Amaranth show up. The Amaranth part I believe is based on some damage. You have to attack him a couple times and then Amaranth shows up. And once Amaranth shows up, now you can kill him. They also have a little, well, technically, once you're allowed to actually kill them, they have a little less HP than the actual versions of these fights you can fight in a little bit here after we finish all the Pandemonium stuff. But, for the most part, these fights are kind of like, these fights are designed so that if you're in a particularly like weak situation where your party isn't super strong at this point, like these fights are intended to not be that hard. Right? So that's why before Amaranth shows up, it's just like, man, I love that line though. That has to be, that might be Amaranth's best line in this game. Just him calling out Zidane for being a huge hypocrite. Like, he's so right. As soon as it's Zidane's problem, right? Look at him trying to be all lonely, I guess. Calling out for being a hypocrite. I love that line. It's crazy. Amaranth gets a lot of great lines in Terra. And I do like the pairings you get here. Like, Steiner and Gwen are such a funny pair, but it's because they're such a sort of funny pair. Like, they don't really have anything in common. But it doesn't really matter, because they're just trying to help out, right? And that's kind of what makes it even better. This fight is also very scripted, like, I don't remember if you have to even attack him. I guess let's see here. He's gonna throw out the Thundaga. I'll attack with Steiner once, and then with... Oh my god, okay. Hey, tell you what, since we're here, Paradots, and I think I've mentioned that these can all be used as healing items, so let's use a Paradot. To heal more than that 1,000 HP you just did. Because it actually heals for quite a bit, as you can see. Nice miss, jackass. And so it looks like Abaddon you actually do have to attack. Probably I would assume you just attack it twice and then Zidane shows up. Fun fact here too is that obviously, you know, this makes sense, but if Steiner is dead, he won't talk here. Just like they also have a different camera angle if Steiner's an auto float. They also have attacks they won't use during this You're Not Alone section, because each of these monsters we've seen has an attack that can be kind of like, this guy has an attack that inflicts virus. He won't use the virus attack. And I forget what I think the little unicorn flying horse has level 4 holy, I want to say, that it can use, but it won't use it here. There you go. And the Sheldrake can actually has an attack that'll actually like put someone out of the fight. He can like eject someone. But obviously he won't use that because imagine doing this sequence and getting ejected and just insta game overing as solo Zidane. Wouldn't that be just insane? Oh man. This one really hits for me too. Like I know a lot of people, pretty much everyone who plays this game loves this part because it really is just this great emotional payoff. And it's just like to be, you know, if you don't mind me being a little sappy, it's just nice to see real friendship. The fact that everyone Zidane's been helping throughout the game is coming back to just, you know, try to repay the favor, as it were. But also just, not even really, like, it's just, they just want to help him out, because it's like, hey, we're buddies. Abaddon here will, specifically, this part of the fight is ended by Zidane getting knocked down to low HP, so like he has to be at yellow HP, which usually will happen automatically after a certain point because he'll use his little toe tap attack, his smash, and it'll knock you down to critical. But technically speaking, you can do it yourself if you wanted to do this part of the fight early. Although that's kind of risky, especially because with, you know, his weapon right now, if I attack myself, I'm pretty sure he would just die, so I would not recommend that. But hey, just one little smash knocks him down. And then Dagger throws like the special Kiraga, which is just a full heal. And as you can imagine, I'm sure, but that'll happen even if Dagger doesn't know Kiraga, which, if you haven't been doing Chocobo Hot and Cold, is more than likely, in fact, because Dagger can only get Kiraga from the Whale Whisker, which you can only get through, you know, fishing up that one spot near Quan's dwelling. Do 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 boo boo boo. It is kind of funny that this guy has a couple attack. He has his charge, which hits everyone for physical, and then he has his little magic Earthshake. And funny enough, his magic attack is like his weakest attack, because Earthshake is just not that strong. As you can imagine, they're all heavy too, so Atmos won't work. I guess I'll just, I don't know. Should I Berserk Zidane, I guess? It's the fastest thing to do. Now you can see how like that does a lot more damage. Well, I guess we can just, you know, let's use Ramuh. We haven't seen that in forever. Alright, give me the full animation. I see people sometimes even start crying during this section. It is pretty emotional, you know. It's this, like I said, it's the whole game's kind of been playing up into this, like throughout the whole game, right? You even get little like glimpses of this with things in the past, like Zidane's little story, right? Back at the Black Mage Village, where he tells you about how he can't remember anything about his childhood. Like the fact that that's some of the few bits of Zidane stuff that you even get before this, right? Zidane's been kind of almost like a like what you would call it, like what's the term? Is it protagonist, deuterologist? Secondary protagonist, like, you know what I mean? Like the term where it's like Zidane isn't really the main character. He's just kind of the viewpoint of us being along for the ride, you know, right? He's helping out everyone else, right? Dagger and Vivi in particular get a lot of story relevance, way more than Zidane does for most of the game. Because Zidane really doesn't have anything invested into this stuff other than just he wants to help, right? That's his mantra, right? You don't need a reason to help people. That's kind of why that's his mantra, in a way, because he doesn't really have a reason to help people. He just wants to. I mean, fuck, it even comes up with Amaranth's stuff. It's like he helps Amaranth out because that's just what he wants to do. Which sounds like kind of goofy in a way, but it makes sense. That's just how Zidane is, right? That's what he wants to do. There doesn't necessarily have to be some defining reason for that. One thing, and I always say this, one thing I will complain about with this section, I wish Dagger tranced during this section when she shows up to help out. Story-related trances don't actually happen that much in this game. There's the one early on with Vivi, and then technically there's the intro with Zidane. And then Steiner gets one more during the this defense of Alexandria, and then that's it. Those are the only story trances in the game. And I felt like to me, it's like I'm almost shocked they didn't do it here, because it felt like Dagger's trance wouldn't even be that particularly helpful here. But that doesn't really matter. That's not why she should have tranced there, right? She should have tranced there because that's like a big emotional moment too, right? If not Dagger, then at least Zidane. Because that's such a big moment, right? Dagger shows up to save Zidane. That's such a nice little moment. And it's it always felt like, even as a kid, I thought it's kind of weird that that's all it is that's like there's no trance moment. Like from the very beginning of the game, trancing is like this big story emotional thing, right? It's supposed to be, as they say at the very beginning of the game, trance is induced by a surge of emotion, right? So I've always been shocked that they didn't do it here. It's like they forgot or something. I don't know. Like, Dagger literally jumps in to save Zidane from dying to the big shell dragon. And then they even have this conversation after about, you know, aren't we your friends and all that jazz, like. And it's so funny. Maybe it's not even funny. It's almost kind of disappointing in a way that they didn't do that. But that's my only complaint. Only complaint with this part. Because it's such a great moment for Garnet too. Like it's the fact that she swoops in and has this whole like speech about them protecting each other. Like it's so great. Man. Steiner has this great line like in the previous section we had this great line about how he hadn't determined whether Zidane was the right man for the princess or not, which is such a great line. Like, I've seen people point out, like, it's crazy if you really think about how, like, at the start of the game, Steiner absolutely hated Zidane's guts. Right? Everything Zidane did is, like, Steiner would complain about it. And now he's, like, talking about, are you the right man to marry her? Like, crazy to think about. And even here, he talks about following him to Kingdom Come, which, you know, if you don't know, that basically means he'd die for Zidane at this point, right? He'd follow him to his death. So great. Alright, let's head back quickly here. Actually, what happens if we try to leave? We gotta go find him. Okay, fair enough. I don't remember if there's encounters here yet. There probably are. Something I didn't know about until recently is that you actually can run into movers in this area too. But only in like these sections where the party members are actually hanging out. Once you get past this area, movers stop showing up. So that's why I didn't realize movers were even here. I also love that Freya's the very first person to show up to like try to help out Zidane, you know? That's a nice moment for her too. Like another great line from Amrei too. Busy guy coming and going all the time. So funny. Anyways, what I want to show off is this area back here. A lot of people get confused by this, but like, oh, there's a holy miter here. I didn't even know that. Forgot about that. This room is there's a lot of sus things about this room, but what the big thing here is that Zidane's kind of, oops, there's an encounter. Oh man. Well, maybe we'll see a mover to show I'm not wrong. that is technically a spoiler, but you know, I don't care. If you want to enjoy that, yeah, Malbros are in this area. Tremble in fear, mortals. Holy crap, he just osmosed him for 100, jeez. But yeah, like people get confused like why Zidane's acting so out of character, and it's I feel like I mean, first of all, the fact that Zidane is so gung-ho about not letting people help him, the fact that he even jumps in here by himself to begin with, is not out of character at all, obviously, but the fact that Zidane, even when they're right in his face and he's like insulting them and stuff, keep in mind that, you know, Garland even says right before this that he's gonna turn him into a regular genome, and he, you know, next time we see Zidane, he's just strapped to his chair, and like, look at this room and like the big ass like hole behind him. Like, I think there's implications that this is basically how they do that. But I mean, you know, that maybe I'm just looking too far into that. Maybe that's just a, you know, who knows, right? But that seems to be the implication, that they were either in the process or had already attempted to, you know, basically turn him into a soulless genome, right? But, you know, maybe that's just looking too far into it, but that, like I said, that seems to be the implication here. Regardless, I don't think Zidane acts particularly out of character here anyways, even though some people like to say he is. Like, people like to say this moment comes out of nowhere. And I just don't think that's even necessarily true, because Zidane's been like this the whole game, in a way. It's just you don't get to see too much of it because Zidane's not super story relevant for most of the game, but it's true that Zidane does not like other people bending over backward to help him out. I mean, even back when, early on, like, you know, near the end of Disc 1, where, I guess maybe not necessarily near the end of Disc 1, but you know what I mean, where as soon as Garnet wants to help out Freya with her, you know, the whole war thing, Zidane's like, nah, you should stay here, because he doesn't want her to put herself at risk to help them out, basically. Right? When it was Zidane helping Garnet out, he didn't really care, but as soon as it's Garnet wanting to help them out, he starts trying to push her away, right? That's kind of my my big one. Anyways, I think that's gonna be it. There's not really much else for me to talk about. I mean, I can talk about how whatchamacallit. What was I gonna say? Kind of forgot. I was gonna bring something else up, but I kind of forgot. So, I guess I'm stalling to try to remember. I guess that's just gonna be it. So. Yeah, I once again, my summed up thoughts are I love You're Not Alone because it's this great payoff for like the whole game, basically. Just Zidane swooping in, helping out everyone. Like, Zidane's so, you know, he's a bit of a nosy busybody, as it were. Even for characters like Amarant, who are very Zidane-like in that they don't want to necessarily open themselves up. But, you know, Freya and Amarant make a good pairing for that kind of interaction. Did I even mention that, like I think it's interesting, I say I think it's interesting, that Freya is really the only character that Amarant could have done, you know, opened himself up to, I feel like, because, like, he just doesn't have, you know what I mean, like, the other characters just wouldn't work. Like, he's obviously not going to do it with Zidane, obviously, and then he's not going to do it with the kids, he's not going to do it with Garnet, he's not going to do it with Steiner, he's not going to do it with Quina. Like, those are just, like, it really is just Freya as the only character who he really could do it with. Because Freya's a bit more in line with Zidane, right? Freya's probably the closest personality-wise to Zidane, other than maybe Amarant himself in a way. But I digress. That'll be it for this part. See you guys later.